Good morning, boys and girls. How are you today? Are you ready for another Bible story? Remember, we're talking about the amazing miracles of Jesus. Yesterday we learned about, what was his name again? Oh yeah, Bartimaeus. Today we're going to talk about the story that's on the other side of the worksheet. Today's story is about a man named Jairus. He was a very, very important man in town. And Jairus had a little daughter. She was 12 years old. He loved her. She was his only child. And one day, she got really sick. She got a fever. And he called the doctors, and him and his wife said, "Doctor, help her." And the doctor said, "I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. I'm afraid she's gonna die." And Jairus was so sad. And then he remembered hearing about Jesus and all his miracles. And he said, "I wonder if Jesus is in town today. I know that he can cure my little daughter and make her all better again." So he left his house and he ran through the streets looking for Jesus. And you know what? He didn't stop until he found him. And he was with a crowd of people, like he usually is, because they all wanted to hear what Jesus had to say. And Jairus pushed his way through the crowd until he was kneeling before Jesus. See, there he is, right there. And he said, "Jesus, please come to my house. My little girl is very, very sick with a fever, and the doctors say there's nothing they can do, and she's going to die." And Jesus looked at Jairus, and he could tell how much he loved his little girl. And he said, "Of course I'll come." Well, on his way, he had to stop a couple times because people wanted to hear what he had to say. And he had to stop once because he had to heal another lady. And before he got to Jairus' house, the people came out of his house and said, "Jairus, stop. Don't bother Jesus anymore. It's too late. Your little girl has already died." And Jairus was so sad. He put his hands in his face in his hands and he cried. And Jesus said, "Jairus, it's okay. Your little girl is just sleeping. Take me to your house." So he listened to Jesus, and he took him to his house. There were already people in his house, and they were crying and wailing, and Jesus said, "Send them out. The little girl is just sleeping." And some of them in the crowd laughed at him and said, "She's not just sleeping, she's dead. What's wrong with him?" And he only let Jairus and the little girl's mommy and his disciples, Peter, James, and John, come into the house with him. They went upstairs to where the little girl was lying. And Peter, James, and John and the little girl's mommy and daddy looked at her, and they knew that she was dead. The color had gone out of her cheeks, and she wasn't breathing. And Jesus went over, and you know what he did? He sat down on the bed right by the little girl. And he took her little hand, and he said, "Little girl, arise." And you know what she did? She sat up, and the color came back into her cheeks. And she looked at her mommy, and she said, "I'm hungry." And Jesus said, "Give her something to eat." That is an amazing miracle. The parents were so amazed. They were praising God, and they were saying, "He must be the Son of God. He can even raise people from the dead." And everyone outside found out about the miracle too. And more people believed that Jesus just might be the Son of God. Isn't that an amazing Bible story? that Jesus could actually raise the little girl from the dead? We haven't heard a miracle like that before. So on the back of your worksheet, I want you to think about the story I just told you. And see these little bubbles up here? You have to bubble in the picture that came first in the story. This picture says, Jesus made Jairus' daughter alive again. And this picture says, Jesus went to help Jairus' daughter. So which one came first? That's the one I want you to bubble in. And then I want you to color the pictures. Okay? All right. I know you can do it. I'll see you tomorrow for another Bible story. Bye-bye.